Welcome to the Commas Guided Practice video. This video gives you an opportunity to practice identifying and correcting comma mistakes while you can compare your editing to the correct answers. You will get the most out of this video if you pause when you're instructed, do the work on your own, and then resume the video to check your answers against mine. If you're ready, let's begin. In this video, we're going to look at several sentences and try to find and correct the comma mistakes in them. Let's do the first sentence together as an example. People enjoy travel, yet it seems they forget about train travel as a means of transportation. Here, I have a coordinating conjunction yet. So I'm going to see and analyze the rest of the sentence to determine if that's the comma rule that's in place. The rule for coordinating conjunctions with commas is that I need a comma if I have complete sentences on both sides of my coordinating conjunction. Before the word yet, I have the sentence, people enjoy travel. That's a complete sentence. After the word yet, I have, it seems they forget about train travel as a means of transportation. That's also a complete sentence. So because I have two complete sentences around a coordinating conjunction, I need to make sure I include a comma here. Let's look at the second sentence. The actors use their script, costumes, and props to present a short scene about train travel. At this point, pause the video, insert commas where they're necessary, and resume the video when you're ready. So in this sentence, I have items in a list. I have the things that actors use to present their short scene about train travel. So what things do the actors use? Well, they use their script, they use their costumes, and they use their props. So here I have 3 items in a list. My rule is that if there are 3 or more items, I need to separate the items with commas. So here, I need to put a comma after script and a comma after costumes. Let's look at our next sentence. More people these days, it seems, are planning train trips, wouldn't you say? At this point, pause the video and try to figure out where you need commas. I'll give you a hint. There are 2 different comma rules in play here. When you think you've identified where all the commas need to go, and you will need more than one, resume the video. So I said we have 2 different rules at play here. Well, the first one has to do with this question at the end, wouldn't you say? My comma rule says that anytime I have question words at the end of a sentence, I need to separate those words from the rest of the sentence with a comma. So I definitely need a comma here after trips. Now I have, more people these days, it seems, are planning train trips, wouldn't you say? But I have another comma rule another comma rule going on here. It has to do with the it seems. If I pluck that out of the sentence, what do I have left? Let's see. More people these days are planning train trips, wouldn't you say? Well, that's a complete sentence by itself. So this is an example of a dependent clause or a interrupting phrase in the middle of a sentence. And so I need to separate it from the rest of my sentence. So I'm going to put commas before my interrupting phrase and after my interrupting phrase. So my new sentence should say, more people these days, comma, it seems, comma, are planning train trips, comma, wouldn't you say? Here's our next example. A train trip by rail, of course, takes longer than one by air, but it also costs significantly less money. Here's another hint, there are 2 different comma rules in this sentence as well. Pause the video, determine where your commas go, and you will need more than one, and resume the video when you're ready. All right. So the first thing I noticed here is that I have the coordinating conjunction but. So I'm going to do my test to see if I have complete sentences before and after but to determine if I need a comma there. Before but, I have a train trip by rail, of course, takes longer than one by air. That's a complete sentence. After but, I have it also costs significantly less money. That's also a complete sentence. So I know I need to put a comma before my conjunction. But what other comma rule is at play here? Well, what about this phrase, of course? What happens if I remove that from the rest of the sentence? Then I would have, a train trip by rail takes longer than one by air. That's a complete sentence all by itself, which means, of course, is my dependent phrase that again is interrupting my sentence, and so I need to separate that with commas too. So I have to put commas before and after, of course. So now my sentence is correct, and the correct sentence should read, a train trip by rail, comma, of course, comma, takes longer than one by air, comma, but it also costs significantly less money. Let's look at another example. Moreover, comma, getting to the airport, comma, or driving in highway traffic can be a hassle. This sentence looks a lot different than the other ones because it already has commas there. It's important when editing to not only be able to identify where you need a comma, but also to be able to tell if the commas you've used are correct or not. So the rest of these examples are going to ask you to do just that. Look at this sentence and determine if the commas in the sentence are needed or not. After you've edited the sentence, pause now, and after you've edited the sentence, come back and see if your edit was correct. So in this sentence, I have two commas. My first one is after moreover. Well, moreover is an example of introductory information. If I remove it from the sentence, I'm left with getting to the airport or driving in highway traffic can be a hassle. This example here, this comma moreover, is correct. So because once I take moreover out, I'm left with a complete sentence. So I need that one. What about the other one? Getting to the airport, comma, or driving in highway traffic can be a hassle. Well, here I have the word or, coordinating conjunction, so let's do our complete sentence test. Before the word or, I have moreover getting to the airport. That's not a complete sentence. After or, I have driving in highway traffic can be a hassle. That is a complete sentence. But because my coordinating conjunction or does not connect to complete sentences, I don't need that comma. So my correct sentence should read, moreover, comma, getting to the airport or driving in highway traffic can be a hassle. Here's our next sentence. Railroad stations, comma, are usually in the center of the city, comma, I believe. At this point, pause the video, determine if those commas are necessary. When you've edited your sentence, resume the video to see if your sentence is correct. I have two commas in the sentence. I have railroad stations, comma, are usually in the center of the city, comma, I believe. Let's look at that first comma after railroad stations. I don't have a coordinating conjunction there. I don't have items in a list. I'm not talking to anybody. I don't have a question. This is a comma between a subject and a verb, and I don't need to put a comma between a subject and a verb, so I'm going to delete that. Now let's look at the other comma. Railroad stations are usually in the center of the city, comma, I believe. If I remove the phrase I believe from the rest of my sentence, what do I have? I have railroad stations are usually in the center of the city. That's a complete sentence. So this is an example of our dependent clause at the end of a sentence, and I need to separate it with a comma. So that comma is correct. My sentence should look like this. Railroad stations are usually in the center of the city, comma, I believe. Here's our last example. Getting to the train station is simply a matter of a convenient drive. There are no commas in this example, so determine if you need a comma or if the sentence is correct. When you're ready, resume the video. So did I have any comma rules at play here? Well, I don't have any introductory information. I don't have an interrupting phrase. I don't have a dependent clause at the end. I don't have question words at the end. I'm not talking to anybody. I don't have a quote. I don't have a coordinating conjunction. Nope. This sentence is fine just the way it is, and it didn't need a comma at all. So here we've seen some examples of sentences that needed to be edited for commas. It's important in your writing to edit carefully so that you look professional and intelligent. When you get frustrated with commas, just take a deep breath, review all your resources, and go to your instructor if you need help.